Hey everyone, ready to dive into some seriously cool lore?
I am. I love this stuff.
We're cracking open the Grimoire, which is like this treasure chest of secrets about guardians and their universe. It's got everything, like ancient myths and even personal journals.
Yeah, it doesn't just spell everything out for you. It's more like you get these pieces of a huge puzzle.
So you have to put it all together yourself. So first things first, what exactly are guardians?
Okay, so picture this. Humanity's hanging on by a thread, right? This force, the darkness, it's closing in.
And the darkness is bad news, right?
The worst.
Yeah.
Our only hope. Guardians. They're these, like, resurrected warriors brought back by the Traveler.
Like with Traveler's that big white orb thing, right?
Exactly. It's a source of incredible light, pure life force. Every time a Guardian falls in battle, their ghost, this little AI buddy, brings them back.
They get back up every time. I mean, you talk about high stakes.
Who kidding? And get this, there are different kinds of Guardians.
Oh, right, like classes, right. Tell me everything.
So first, you got your Titans. They're like, ooh, the tanks, all about raw power, total discipline. The Grimoire mentioned this move they have, the Fist of Havoc.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. It's supposed to be insane.
They slam the ground,
Yeah.
and it's like, boom! Shockwaves just obliterate everything around them.
Okay, that's two down. What about the last type?
Ah, yes, the Warlocks. They're like scholars of the light, constantly diving into its mysteries to unlock crazy power. They can, like, radiate pure light energy.
Wait, seriously?
For a short time, yeah. It makes them almost invincible. That's the Radiance ability.
Okay, that is seriously cool. But hold on, you mentioned ghosts. They're the ones who resurrect guardians, right?
Right. And a ghost is bound to its guardian. It's a powerful connection.
But they're not invincible, are they?
Sadly, no.
Yeah.
Losing a ghost, it's like, well, it's devastating for a guardian.
Man, that's heavy stuff. The Grimoire, it mentions this excerpt, Ghost Fragment, Ghosts 2. It's about these two ghosts, Cassiopeia and Obsidian, right?
Yeah, I think I remember that one.
They meet another ghost who's acting super weird, like totally glitching out. And it's because it got messed up by this thing called Siva.
Uh-huh. That's our first real clue, that something much bigger, something potentially really bad is out there.
Wait, Siva, that sounds kind of creepy. What is it exactly?
Let's circle back to that one. It's a whole other can of worms.
Okay, suspense. I can dig it. So we've got guardians, they're ghosts. What about the weapons?
Oh, the Grimoire doesn't disappoint. There's a ton on Guardian weaponry.
Okay, tell me about some of these legendary weapons.
Well, there's Thorn, for one. It's a hand cannon. Sleek, deadly, but with a dark past.
Ooh, I love a good origin story. Tell me more.
It was the weapon of Dredgen Yor, a Guardian who, well, let's just say he went down a dark path.
So this thorn, it's almost like it's cursed or something.
The Grimoire hints at it, yeah. Like it's infused with some kind of dark energy.
Wow, that's intense. What else?
Then you have Gostov, the rifle. Seems pretty standard at first, but the field manual, now that tells the story.
What do you mean?
Every little modification, every note scribbled in the margins. It's like reading the diary of the Guardian who used it.
So even a regular weapon can have an amazing history.
Absolutely. And then there's Trespasser.
Whose weapon was that one again?
Shiro 4. It's his sidearm. Heavily modified, personalized.
So guardians aren't just warriors, they're tinkerers too.
Totally. They adapt, they make do, they scavenge. It speaks to their resourcefulness.
Okay, so we've got the guardians, their trusty ghosts, a whole arsenal of crazy weapons. But where do they actually live?
The Last City is humanity's last bastion of hope. Imagine this massive city surrounded by walls with the Traveler just hovering overhead.
What's it like inside?
Well, at its heart is the tower. It's like a central hub where Guardians meet, hang out, get their missions.
So it's like a little microcosm of society, trying to rebuild after everything went down.
Exactly. And it's got everything. You've got the speaker, this mysterious leader who can actually talk to the Traveler.
He's like the big boss.
In a way, yeah. A lot of people see him as a conduit for the Traveler's will,
Okay, so he's like the wise leader. Who else calls the tower home?
You've got the Vanguard. They're like the top brass leaders from each Guardian class. They're the strategists, the tacticians, the best of the best.
Wow. And they all work together.
Yep. Well, mostly. And then there's Lord Shax.
Who's he?
He's this titan, a total legend. And kind of a loudmouth, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's got a good heart, He runs the Crucible.
The Crucible, what's that?
It's where Guardians go to blow off steam. It's all about sparring, testing your skills against each other in these big arenas.
So it's like a giant training ground.
Exactly. It's all in good fun, though, mostly.
So we got this city full of guardians, right? All these different personalities, all this power. But even with the traveler watching over them, I'm guessing it's not all sunshine and roses.
You got that right.
Hmm.
Imagine trying to rebuild after almost everything is wiped out. It's messy.
Yeah, I bet. So are there, like, disagreements about how to rebuild? What are these factions all about?
Oh, yeah, big time. You've got groups like the Future War Cult, for example.
Okay, intense name. What's their deal?
They're all about preparation, like constant vigilance. They believe another attack, another collapse is inevitable,
So they're, like, hardcore survivalists.
basically.
Yeah.
Then you've got groups like New Monarchy. They're more optimistic, I guess you could say.
Okay, so.
They want to bring back the Golden Age, that time before the collapse. They believe in restoring order, rebuilding what was lost.
It's interesting, right? Even with these huge threats, humanity still finds a way to, like, disagree.
It's human nature, I guess.
Speaking of threats, the Grimoire mentions some pretty mysterious figures outside the city. Like, what about the Exo Stranger? She's a total enigma, right?
Totally. An exo, a robot body with a human consciousness, but with no ghost? That's unheard of.
Yeah, that's really strange. Makes you wonder where she came from, what she wants.
Exactly. Then you've got the Queen.
The Awoken Queen.
Yeah, her people are fascinating. They were changed by the collapse, exposed to the darkness in a way that no one else was. And the Queen, she's incredibly powerful. But her motives, hard to say.
Okay, so she's another wild card. And then there's Rasputin.
Ah, yes. The war mind.
This is like a super intelligent AI. Right, like something out of science fiction.
Pretty much. Imagine a planetary defense system from, like, 1,000 years ago suddenly waking up. That's Rasputin.
And that's a good thing, right?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? He could be a powerful ally, but also a huge risk. We don't really know what he's capable of.
Okay, so Rasputin's a big question mark. Got it. But this grimoire, it's not just about the big players and the factions, is it? It mentions all these activities, missions that Guardians go on. What are those all about?
You mean the story activity? Yeah, these are like the heart of the Guardian experience. Each mission is like a chapter in a huge, ongoing story.
So it's not just about, like, shooting stuff.
Well, there's plenty of that, too. But these missions, they take you all over the solar system, different planets, moons, you name it. You're uncovering secrets, battling enemies, making choices that actually affect how the story unfolds.
So that's really cool. Like, what kind of missions are we talking about? Give me some examples.
Okay, so you start with A Guardian Rises, which is literally the moment your ghost resurrects you for the first time.
So that's your introduction to being a Guardian.
Exactly. Then you've got Restoration, where you're securing this thing called an NLS drive.
What's that? Some kind of fancy engine part?
Kind of. It's essential for interstellar travel.
Interstellar. So it's not just Earth we're talking about here.
Nope. Jupiter, Saturn, even the asteroid belt, there are missions all over the solar system.
That's amazing. So you're exploring these incredible alien landscapes, right? But it can't all be sightseeing. What about, like, the really intense missions?
Oh, there are plenty of those. The Dark Within, for example. That one still gives me chills.
What happens?
It takes place on the moon, a place where the Guardians suffered a major defeat a long time ago.
Sounds ominous. Who are you fighting in this one?
The Hive.
Oh, right, the Hive. Those guys are seriously creepy.
Yeah, they're like the stuff of nightmares, driven by this ancient darkness, intent on wiping out all life. They're a constant threat.
So yeah, going into their territory, probably not a good idea.
Not unless you have to.
So we've got these missions on the moon, fighting the Hive. What about this mission, the War Mind? Is that about Rasputin?
You got it. Seems like figuring out what makes Rasputin tick is a pretty high priority for the city.
Makes sense. He could be a huge asset, but I bet it's not easy dealing with an AI that powerful.
Not at all. It's a dangerous game. Then there's the last array. That one really highlights the whole dilemma with Rasputin.
What do you mean?
Some people see him as a savior, a source of knowledge and power that could turn the tide. Others, they think he's even more dangerous than the darkness itself.
So he's a wild card.
Totally. A wild card with a lot of firepower.
Yikes. Okay, back to the missions. What about the Dark Beyond? Another Hive mission, right?
Yeah, but this one's the big turning point.
Yeah.
It's where the Guardians go on the offensive. They're not just reacting anymore, they're taking the fight to the Hive.
About time, right. So what's the objective?
Infiltrate one of their main fortresses on the moon. And trust me, their fortresses are terrifying.
Sounds like a suicide mission.
Pretty much. But hey, someone's got to do it.
What about the World's Grave? What's that all about?
Now that one's interesting. The Guardians are still fighting the Hive, but this time it's about more than just destroying them. They need information.
So it's a recon mission.
In a way, they have to infiltrate a Hive stronghold, but the goal is to steal their secrets. Figure out what makes them tick, maybe get a leg up in the war.
Talk about risky business. Okay, so the stakes are getting higher. What else is there?
Well, things get pretty epic with the Sword of Crota.
That sounds ominous. Who's Crota?
He's a Hive god, or at least that's what the Grimoire calls him. And his sword. Let's just say it's not something you want to be on the wrong end of.
Okay, so we've gone from fighting interdimensional robots to, like, battling deities.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the Guardians won, right? I mean, they have to.
They managed to destroy the sword, which was a major victory, but the Grimoire makes it clear that Crota's not gone for good. He's coming back.
Well, that's comforting. So what happens after you defeat a God's weapon? Do you get, like, a prize?
Not quite. The Grimoire mentions another mission, Shrine of Oryx. It seems that after Crota, the Guardians had to deal with these shrines dedicated to this even more powerful Hive god, Oryx.
Wait, there's a bigger bad than Crota?
According to the Grimoire, yeah, Oryx is like the top of the Hive food chain.
Okay, so the stakes just keep getting higher. But enough about the Hive for a second. Let's get back to the Exo Stranger. What's her deal? What's she up to?
Good question. In A Stranger's Call, we see her guiding the Guardians toward this ancient Vex archive.
The Vex. Those are the robot things, right?
Yeah, but they're not your typical robots. They're driven by this, like, pure logic. Their motives are really hard to grasp. And they're obsessed with controlling time and space, reshaping reality in their image.
That does not sound good. So what's so special about this Vex archive?
It's like their library, their database, everything they know about, well, everything. The Stranger, she seems to think that understanding the Vex is key to defeating the darkness.
That's a pretty bold assumption, isn't it? Assuming we can even understand how their minds work.
Yeah, but she's not exactly known for playing it safe. And the archive, it could hold all sorts of secrets.
True. But knowing the Vex, I bet it's heavily guarded. Speaking of which, the Grimoire mentions this place called the Black Garden. Is that a Vex thing?
Oh yeah, it's like their heartland, a place where reality itself is warped, where the Vex are in total control.
That sounds even creepier than the Hive's moon base. What are they doing in there?
It's not entirely clear, but it seems to be the source of their power.
So the Guardians, they tried to shut it down.
In a way. The mission, the Black Garden, it involves going right into the heart of this place and disrupting whatever it is the Vex are doing.
Talk about a dangerous mission. Did it work? Did they manage to stop the Vex?
Well, that's a story for another time.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here. Guardians, ghosts, weapons, this whole fight against the darkness. But this Grimoire, it's got history too, right? Legends. And one name that keeps coming up. The Iron Lords. Who were these guys?
Picture this. Humanity just barely surviving after the collapse. Scattered, fighting just to hold on to what's left.
Grim.
Yeah, it was a dark time. And that's when the Iron Lords emerged. These weren't just guardians. They were like, well, they were legends. They wanted to bring order to the chaos.
So they were fighters, but also leaders.
Builders. Exactly. They believed in a better future, and they were willing to fight for it. But there's a reason we're talking about them in the past tense.
Oh, right. They're gone now. But if they were so powerful, what happened? How do you go from being a legend to, well, not?
It's a classic case of be careful what you wish for. They discovered Siva.
Wait, Siva? As in that dangerous nanotech stuff? The same thing that messed up that ghost we talked about?
One and the same.
Yeah.
Super advanced, self-replicating nanotechnology. Left over from the Golden Age.
So what? They thought they could control it?
They thought they could use it for good, rebuild with it. But Siva, it's not that simple.
Sounds like it backfired big time.
You could say that. The Iron Lords, they made a mistake. A big one. But they were still incredible. The Grimoire talks about Lord Saladin.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of him. He's like the last surviving Iron Lord, right?
That's right. A true legend. Led the city's defenses during the Battle of Twilight Gap. A pivotal moment for humanity.
Wow. So he's seen it all.
You could say that. Then there was Lady Perun, powerful titan, totally dedicated to the Iron Lord's cause. She always fought for what she believed in.
It's making me wish I could have met these guys.
They were the real deal. And there was Lord Fellwinter, an exo like the Stranger.
Interesting. So he was grappling with those same questions about what it means to be an exo.
It seems like it. He was a deep thinker, always searching. And let's not forget Lord Silmar. He was their architect.
Their architect.
Yeah, he designed and built their temple. He believed in creating things that would last, you know. structures, but also like a legacy for humanity.
Man, it's sad, to think of all that potential wasted.
Their story doesn't end there, though. Their legacy lives on the Iron Banner.
Right, the Crucible event. So they're still honored even today.
Exactly. It's a reminder of what they stood for. Strength, resilience, never giving up. Even in death, they inspire.
Wow, what a story. I have to say, this whole deep dive, it's been incredible. We've gone from these epic battles against the darkness to the tragedy of the Iron Lords, learned about all these amazing characters and some seriously messed up stuff, too.
It's a wild universe out there, full of danger, but also hope.
That's a good way to put it. So, to everyone listening, if you're fascinated by this stuff, pick up the Grimoire. Explore. You won't regret it.
It's a trip, that's for sure.
And hey, maybe we'll do another deep dive sometime soon. Until then, thanks for listening.